Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. The WBC champion Deontay Wilder does not want to face Anthony Joshua in 2019, he has confirmed. He says it can wait till 2020 for an undisputed fight, and part of his reasoning is relying on a statement that Anthony Joshua made in October 2017, and we'll come to that soon, but we'll get to Deontay Wilder's comments first, and a few thoughts, because Wilder is relying heavily on previous statements by Joshua, but also there's a bit of revisionist history going on here. So Deontay Wilder, in an interview with Blue Blood Sports TV, said on fighting Joshua, "Let's go back in time. They've already spoken that. They spoke this. They said they wanted it in 2020. These are the words that came out of their mouths. They put it into the universe." So I'll just jump in there. So what Anthony Joshua said, and this was in an interview on October the 5th, 2017, and there is a link in the description box to it. So you can go to that. It's at about the 4-minute mark for about 30, 40 seconds or so. So Joshua said, "I'm going to do things my way, isn't it? If Wilder works, we're going to make it happen. If Wilder isn't the right opponent for next year, we'll put it back into 2019, but I'm just going to do things my way. People can't just rush my career. That's one thing I've learned. I've got a career. I need to map it out. I'm going to take the fights at the right time, and yeah, if it's next year, or the year after, when I fight him, I'll be in a position to beat him." So that final "or the year after" is alluding to the year 2020. So that was Joshua's statement verbatim. I went back and had a listen, wrote the quote down. So yeah, Joshua did make those comments, and at the time it wasn't a very popular comment because obviously that, fans wanted to see an undisputed fight if it was possible, as soon as possible, rather than potentially 3 years away. As it's transpiring, it looks like that may indeed be what happens in the end. But Deontay Wilder is heavily leaning on this, and he is saying that Joshua said it, so this is what they're going to get. But this does not take into account some of what's happened between those statements and now. And we're going to get to that in responding to some of Wilder's comments here, because he certainly is angling things one way, making out he's the only one that's wanted this fight. And I think we all know that's not true. And if Deontay Wilder is being honest, he hasn't negotiated in any degree since June 2018. So what's that, the best part of 10 months? 11 months, the best part of a year now. There was the period of negotiation between April and June 2018. And after that, Deontay Wilder said, "I want 50-50, otherwise the fight hasn't happened." And he has not entered into any negotiations since then. Offers from December onwards were ignored. He could have taken the fight for April at Wembley, but he didn't enter into any negotiations. Shelley Finkel did not respond to any of the offers, one of which was a 60-40 split. So that is important context for some of the comments from Wilder to come, because he's making out here that he is the only one that has tried to make this fight, which is patently untrue. So Wilder continues, "All of a sudden there's a change of attitude. Yeah, the body language is different now because he don't have nowhere to go. He thought he wanted to freeze me out. You can't freeze out the one of the most important guys here, especially in America. I hold all the keys, and I'm willing and able to prove that to anybody that doubts me. I've been staying patient. As a true champion, I've been staying calm." And then a little later on in the interview, he says, "I've lowered my standard, go back. I've accepted flat fee money to make fights happen, but still we didn't get the fight. Many times Joshua could have fought me. We've seen it. We know. We all know." And I'll jump in there because, yes, he did indeed accept a flat fee, but he did not sign the contract. There was a contract that went to Deontay Wilder and Shelley Finkel, and it went unsigned. So he publicly accepted an offer, a flat fee, and never signed his portion of the deal. So you can't say that you've accepted it and really tried to make the fight with actually out-signing the contract, because that's the key part to making the fight happen. Ultimately, what happened in that situation, if people forgot, was because the contract went unsigned for the best part of a week, the WBA came over the top and said, "Look, we've been pushing this out for some time now," because they wanted to make their mandatory fight in the month or two before it ultimately got announced. So that extra time that they delayed in signing a contract ended things. It ended negotiations because the WBA came over the top and said, "Nah, that's it. You've had long enough." It was the best part of 3 months of negotiation, and no deal was signed. And that's the key part, signed. Deontay Wilder did not sign his part of the deal. As people like to point out, he lost his pen. But, if he really wants to split hairs on this, people can go back and check those facts. And then Wilder continued, if it doesn't happen, it ain't my fault. People will just have to wait a little bit longer because we've definitely got something going on. We've got things in order. They've just pushed the talking too long. Okay, I got to jump in there again because this whole push the talking too long, they've been talking, you haven't been listening. They tried to reprise negotiations after December, or even before that, but Finkel said, we have a fight with Tyson Fury, no negotiations before December 1st, 2018. But even after that, the offers, the emails, the phone calls went unanswered. Shelley Finkel did not respond to Eddie Hearn's offers. Ultimately, the offer got to 60-40, bigger than any offer Deontay Wilder had had before that. But there was nothing that was entered into. There was no negotiations of any note there. And only later in the piece, when John Skipper tried to get involved, tried to make an undisputed fight, it all fell over because Deontay Wilder went to a meeting. He listened to an offer with his people, Al Heyman, Shelley Finkel, Lou DiBella, and others. They walked away from the meeting. They didn't counter the offer. They just said no. That's the only negotiation of note, and it wasn't really a negotiation. It was a meeting talking about this is a potential offer, and it went nowhere. So Deontay Wilder can say that, they've been talking and it's taken too long, but they haven't been invested in negotiations to make this fight for the best part of a year. And then he says, now they're claiming, I think it's all smoke and mirrors, because he don't have nowhere to go, really. They don't want to fight me. They're claiming, oh, why we had to wait. You all did this to yourselves. You guys did this, not me. So I don't want people to blame me because I tried. I tried multiple times. They brushed me off. What more can I do? I'm not going to lower my standards. Okay, so where do we start with that? But this whole trying thing, is this just based between April and June last year when there did seem to be a bit of back and forth? There was the offer that came from Wilder, also based on some Joshua statements. So Joshua's lips here, statements that he's made, have kind of been seized upon multiple times because he said, give me $50 million or take the fight. There was a verbal offer of $50 million, but it wasn't followed up by a contract. It was, say yes or no within 24 hours. And Wilder himself in recent months says he wouldn't take any contract without seeing any fine print. And this is part of his reason for turning down the $100 million or $120 million offer from DAZN, because he wanted to know, well, the fine print. He said he's not an idiot. He wouldn't sign a deal without seeing all that detail. But he did expect Anthony Joshua to sign a similar deal just based on the, here's $50 million, say yes or no if you want the fight. So Deontay Wilder is a walking contradiction on some of these things. He's trying to paint a narrative here that he's the only one that's been trying to make the fight, but he has made no effort or attempts to try and make this fight post-June 2018. There has been no effort to make that fight, and please tell me if I'm wrong on this, because I can't see any efforts or any negotiation of any note that he's tried to make this fight after June 2018 when the first failed negotiation shut down. So this whole, I've tried to make the fight multiple times. Well, really, is that true? But also, you had a flat fee offer, which you said you accepted, and that's you saying you tried to make the fight, but you didn't sign the contract. You can't have it both ways on this. And even when he was asked if the Brazil fight after that, if you offered 50-50, would that get the fight done for this year? He said, we've got things in order, in line. You know what I mean? It's all based on a lot of different things that's going on. I can't really discuss a lot of things that are going on. You'll have to wait. You'll just have to wait and see. They need this. They need this fight. Plain and simple, Deontay Wilder is dodging Anthony Joshua right now. He doesn't want this fight right now because he's got his own thing going on. And what does this actually mean in terms of his legacy, his commercial bankability with the potential pipeline of fights that he's got going on? A Luis Ortiz rematch or an Adam Kovnatsky fight. And those are the two likely next fights. And the thing is, did the Luis Ortiz fight, did that need to happen last year or at least the first part of this year? There's an argument to say that there was a strong demand for that rematch given the sort of controversy, but has that sort of demand just ebbed away a bit? I don't know if I'm as jazzed about that rematch as I would have been initially had it happened immediately after their March 2018 fight. It was a very good fight in the end. It was a bit slow starting off, but then there was action galore from what was it, round 5 to rounds 10. A lot of good action. Luis Ortiz almost took that one. I mean, I have some interest in seeing that rematch, but Adam Kovnarski, he's a good contender too, but does that really do a lot for Deontay Wilder's profile and building his commercial viability to a potential deal with Joshua for 2020? And who knows, can they ever get that fight done? And who knows, can he ever get a rematch with Tyson Fury? They're all with different broadcasters. It's a bit of a quagmire. It's hard to say if these things can ever get done, but part of me wonders that now that Anthony Joshua is fighting in the United States, is if part of this is to help Joshua build his profile within the States, so when he does fight in the States against Wilder in 2020, if it so happens that more casual fans, more fans in general, know about who this guy called Joshua is, so that could ultimately help the pay-per-view. So it could be something like that, but in the meantime, Deontay Wilder doesn't want to fight Anthony Joshua. That much is clear, and he's relying on Joshua's former statements to sort of, say, well, you said 2020, you're going to get your wish. So it's also a lesson for some of these fighters. Don't say things that can be used against you, because when he said that at the time, there was a lot of criticism of Joshua saying, really, you really want to push it out that far? And ultimately, it looks like that's going to happen. And I don't think Barry Hearn, the Matchroom, director, I don't think he will really care if that happens as well, because he's previously said if Joshua never fights Wilder, or if it is in 2020, he doesn't have a problem with that at all, because he's looking at the dollars and cents involved in the equation. But it's disappointing for me, this whole thing. I mean, Deontay Wilder's obviously had people in his ear telling him what to do, what to say in general about this is what we're going to do in 2019, so they're trying to spin it a certain way now. But they haven't been involved in any meaningful negotiations since the end of June 2018. They haven't. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.